Mehdi, Belgravia has been one of the hardest hit stocks. Tell me what's been going on.
Thank you, Tim. I specifically came here for you to ask me that question because I want to address it. As one of Canada's first treasury companies where we adopted the Bitcoin standard, we had one of the most significant runs. We built our platform, our website, our model to buy Bitcoin on equity and debt. Naturally, in the summer, we had extreme share appreciation, about 20, 30 times MNAV at one time. And now, with the market correcting the way it has, we've been on the other end. And part of the reason behind that is the market is inaccurately calculating the equity and the convertible debt. And there's two structures of debt. There's a line of credit that we purchased Bitcoins very early on at about 100,000. Then there's a convertible, which was one of the first ever in Canada, the Bitcoin standard, which means that if the convertible is not exercised into equity, we would simply return the Bitcoin at maturity. And the market is calculating the downside pretty strongly and aggressively, where they see when Bitcoin has severe days like we saw last week. There's a ricochet a few days later. Yesterday, Canadian market was closed. So we're seeing that pullback even more stronger. It's got a greater torque on the downside. And one of the public statements, that will come out, will address is that, the downside is protected. It's the Bitcoin Standard Act. And I'm very proud to say that, which means if Bitcoin does have a severe correction, we're not exposed. Belgravia is not exposed. We're exposed on the equity, but not on the debt. And I believe in many conversations that's come up. And, I'm here to address that with you. I'm here to address that with the community. And I believe, in fair market value, and it'll correct. I mean, we're trading like a derivative, so it will correct accordingly. I'm upset, concerned about, the trading, but I'm not worried because I know it'll adjust.
Can you walk us through the structure of the Bitcoin standard debt?
Correct. Yes, happy to. I'm glad you asked me that. The Bitcoin standard debt means if the debt is not converted, the Bitcoin is returned. So we're seeing a lot of volatility right now in the market, and Bitcoin has downside. And the market is pricing us more sharply because, 5 million USD has been, subscribed on a convertible at 71 cents. So the market is acting very harshly, very irrationally, and, it's taken out a lot of equity on the way down. However, we're not exposed to the downside of that 5 million. We're exposed, obviously, like everybody else, to the downside of our unencumbered Bitcoin. With more public disclosures, with more discussions with yourself, with more shareholder meetings, which I've had in the last few weeks, going all around, I believe the message is, related back. For every seller, there is a buyer. For every one investor who's abandoned this sector, there is another investor who's buying, bottom fishing, buying the lows, looking at momentum to come back. If this was a sector like any other business, I would be worried, but I'm not because I know how the trading will resume. I see the liquidity, I see the volumes, and I want to be out in forefront. I know how markets work. Markets are extremely volatile and irrational. They reward you extremely on the way up, and they punish you even harder on the way down. There's a lot of emotional sentiment. I mean, this is people's money. It's my money. It's your money. So I'm cognizant of that. I get a lot of funny emails, and I'm aware if someone has $1,000 or $100,000 or $1 million locked into the company. So you're aware of people's emotions, and you address it. You speak with them. Openly active with the shareholder base. A lot of commentary. A lot of unaccounted for insults. It's a Canadian thing, I guess. They're, it's my true pride north, up north in Canada. We're glutton for punishment, right? Being a Leaf fan, being a Jays fan. You beat your Yankees, though, so I'm pretty good about that.
The most recent press release, which is coming out the day that we're releasing this, can you walk us through some of the highlights of that?
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's going to highlight significantly the Bitcoin standard, number one. Number two, it's going to highlight that we're repricing the convertible from 71 cents to, 1.5, 2 MNAV, maybe 3. We'll see where the market is essentially on that. That will eliminate any doubts of overhang of debt long term. A, because it's the Bitcoin standard, and B, we're pricing it in that we would lock in the equity. So as they say, it's accretive dilution when this happens. We're preparing ourselves for, in our opinion, the inevitable rise, the inevitable run up. This is the reset. You know, we were a little bit quiet on X and a little quiet on social media, but definitely not quiet in the background. You know, you see the phones ringing, we're active. So, you know, we're planting all the pillars and seeds in the right place right now. And happy to announce that Belgravia Hartford, a company of our size, is one of the few companies out of Canada that's been accepted into the FII conference in Saudi Arabia. It's the new Davos. It's the most prestigious conference. You know, Donald Trump has spoken at it, Jamie Dimon, some of the most brilliant, you know, heads of states, conglomerates, and we're part of that group now. So it was an honor to be accepted. And it's something long-term. It's going to have a lot of benefit for us.
What final thoughts do you have that kind of encapsulates Belgravia as it is today in October 2025?
Yeah, October. You know, I remember last year, October, where, you know, things were tight. I mean, it was tight marginally and all personally, corporation, everything. And I looked back and I remember it's a Canadian Thanksgiving in October. And, you know, you're always thankful. You know, I'm always thankful for every day's Thanksgiving in my books. And I'm thankful that we're in this opportunity. I'm thankful we own 83 Bitcoins. I'm thankful that we have an opportunity for the most inevitable rebound to come. But most importantly, you know, after every massive sell-off, after every massive turnback, there is the start of a new rally, a new bull. This company's been around for about 2 decades. It's managed through some of the toughest times in the world, and it's always rebounded. And now owning the most premier asset in the planet, trading under NAV, and having exposure to some incredible financiers, investors, and bankers, I could only be confident. I could only be positive that things will turn around. And as I said, you know, we follow the greatest investor out there, Michael Saylor, and we follow his textbook. Sell your kidney, don't sell your Bitcoin. Sell your stock, don't sell your Bitcoin. And we'll continue doing that.
Awesome. Mehdi, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Bitcoin custody is evolving, and OnRamp leads this change with multi-institution custody, eliminating single points of failure. Instead of one institution or complex private keys, OnRamp secures your Bitcoin in a segregated, cold storage, multi-sig vault backed by 3 independent, institutional-grade custodians. No single custodian can move funds by themselves, providing an unprecedented level of security that traditional custody solutions simply can't match. Protected by a $100 million Lloyd's of London insurance policy, all transactions are fully auditable on-chain, never rehypothecated, and executed only at your explicit direction. This means complete transparency and control over your assets at all times. Beyond custody, OnRamp delivers comprehensive Bitcoin financial services, including lending, trading, inheritance planning, IRAs, and more. OnRamp functions as your private banking partner, coordinating key holder activity, removing technical burdens, and providing a personalized, trust-minimized experience tailored to your specific wealth preservation goals. Whether you're new to Bitcoin or an experienced holder, OnRamp's approach helps secure generational wealth with unmatched security and peace of mind. Visit onrampbitcoin.com today to learn more, sign up, or book a free consultation with their team of Bitcoin custody experts. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by StampSeed. If you're in cold storage, you know how important it is to protect your seed phrase. That's why I recommend you head over to stampseed.com and check it out for yourself. This seed phrase storage device is one solid piece of titanium. There are no loose pieces, and you can hammer your seed phrase in letter by letter. When you go to stampseed.com, use promo code TIM15 for a 15% discount across the website. That's TIM15. Join us at the Wynn in Las Vegas, February 23rd through the 26th, 2026 for Bitcoin for Corporations. Use code KOTZ when you grab your tickets at strategy.com, and we'll see you there. This episode is brought to you by Arch Lending, the premier provider of crypto-backed loans designed for both individual and institutional investors. At Arch, your digital assets work for you without selling them. Arch offers flexible loan options tailored to your needs. Backed by industry leaders like Morgan Creek Digital, Castle Island Ventures, and Galaxy Ventures, Arch Lending is setting a new standard in crypto-backed lending. Are you ready to unlock the potential of your crypto assets? Visit archlending.com to learn more and configure your loan today. Are you looking for comprehensive analytics on corporate Bitcoin adoption? Strategy Tracker delivers real-time insights into how companies are executing their Bitcoin strategies completely free. Monitor NAV premiums, cost basis performance, and track how corporate Bitcoin treasuries perform against the market. Upgrade to premium for just $3.99 a month and unlock exclusive benefits like detailed market rankings, real-time trading volume analysis, and advanced performance metrics for corporations embracing Bitcoin. Apply code KOTZ at checkout for 100% off your first month of premium. Strategy Tracker is your essential tool for measuring the effectiveness of corporate Bitcoin strategies. Visit strategytracker.com and gain the analytical edge in understanding the Bitcoin treasury phenomenon.